Hi everyone, my name is Parveen Ali and I work at the University of Sheffield in Health Sciences School. And in the previous video, we talked about sources of evidence and where the evidence comes from. And in this video, we are going to talk about how do you actually evaluate the credibility and reliability of the evidence that you're examining. This is in relation to the scientific information that you gather and reviews in terms of research articles, books, or any other material, scientific material that you review as part of your assignments, be it for undergraduate, master's, or PhD level. You need to understand what information you're asking yourself when you are trying to make sense of the information and trying to make sense of the credibility and reliability of the information that is presented to you. This is an important skill because the sources of information are too many. So few years back, the focus of education was usually to help people understand how to find information, whereas the era in which we are living in, we already know that there is a lot of information which is available. So we are not necessarily interested in terms of how to find information because there is a lot that we know where to get the information from, but we need to understand how we find credible and reliable information. So let's look at that. So how do you evaluate sources? Well, there are certain elements that you need to look into, and these include author, review, date, bias, and sources. Let's check each of them one by one to understand what you're looking for in relation to each particular aspect. So let's talk about author. So when looking at the authors, you're trying to understand if the authors are who they are saying they are. You want to look at their credentials, if they are doctor, professor, professional in their field, expert in their field. So do they have the credible qualification to give you the information that they are giving, and is that information reliable or not? The other element that you're looking at, if for instance you're looking at websites, so then you're trying to see what kind of websites these are. Do they end in terms of org.org websites or .edu website or .gov website? Because if it's .org, it tells you that this is some kind of an organization relevant to that particular type of field that you're looking for. If it's edu, that tells you that it is an educational organization, perhaps a university or college, and the information is presented from there. It is .gov, it means it is a governmental website and they're presenting information from the governmental sources or information that government endorses. So that information is really important to explore and understand. Is there any more information about the group available? So you could always click, if it's a website, you could always click on the About tab to understand a little bit more about the authors or the group that that has presented the information that you're trying to look at or use. Is it an organization or a group listed as the author? So if the information that you're looking at is available and the author appears to be an organization or a group and not necessarily one individual, if so, what are their credentials? And have they provided that information to you? So if, for instance, if it is like, I don't know, an organization which is looking at the health conditions related to heart. So if it's a British Heart Foundation, for example, so you need to look at what their credentials are. Have they provided you who they are? Who are the members of that place? And so on and so forth. That information helps you understand and explore if the information presented there is credible and believable. Next thing you want to, if you're looking at the sources who have reviewed something, so then you also need to look at how's the information being reviewed. Was it published in a journal or by a reputable publishers? Who has published it? Who has printed it? Who has written it? So all that information is something that you need to understand. Can you get more information about the publisher who has published that particular information? For example, for a journal, can you check their website to see who runs the journal? If it's an international journal, what kind of editorial board they have? If it's a predatory journal or if it's a valid journal, so that's the sort of information that you're looking for. Are they affiliated with the college or university or professional association? So who have looked at the information, who have reviewed the information which has been presented to you, and has that information been reviewed or not? Usually, once information is reviewed by peers, we call it a peer review. It usually is of a better quality and gives you an indication that it has been through some kind of scrutiny and some kind of assessment. The next thing that you're looking for is date of publications. Where was the information published? When was it published last? And when was it was updated last? So that's something which is really very, very important, especially if you're looking at the website and stuff, because you can easily look at the information which has been presented or developed long time ago and may not never have been updated since then. Have newer articles been published on your topic? If there has been newer articles, you may want to look at those articles as well to try and understand if there is anything new published around that particular topic. Are the links or references to other sources up to date? And do they actually work? Sometimes there are links and sources referred to in journal articles, and these days, as we are progressing, you expect to find quite a lot of websites and quite a lot of web addresses, sometimes hyperlinked into the sources that you're reading or otherwise. But if you click on them, because people keep on updating their own websites, so they may not really work. So looking at the list of sources and the links which are provided is also a good idea to check if the information presented is reliable and can you actually trust it, because can you actually follow it up to the other sources which they have referred to in the document. You also need to think about if the topic in the, that you're exploring has it changed rapidly, or will older sources work as well? So a very good example is COVID-19. So something which was published in December 2019 about COVID-19 may not be relevant today in July 2020, because the information has changed so quickly and so rapidly. So looking at the changes and how rapid changes have occurred is also a good way of looking at the credibility of information. You should also make sure to check bottom of the web page for the publication date, copyright date, or any other dates, especially about the last updates. The copyright information for physical material is usually listed in the catalog or record and or the bibliographic information. So that information could be really useful for you to determine the quality and the reliability and the believability of the source that you are referring to. Let's look at the sources now. So this is another aspect that you're going to have a look. So you want to see what other sources have been referred into the work that you're reading. Have they provided reference to other sources? Have they cited other sources? And have they listed those sources into the bibliography and have provided links to those sources appropriately? And have they tried to look at the original sources related to the information which they have presented or not? That can tell you a lot about the quality of the information that you're looking for as well. What kind of sources are listed? Have they only actually just looked at different websites, or have they also looked at books and journal articles or other sources of information which are relevant to the information which they are presenting in the source that you're reading? For online sites, you may also want to look at the links. Are they current, or are they dead? Are they working, or are they not working, as I've said earlier? Then it comes, we look at the trustworthiness or bias of the information. So you need also you need to understand, or you need to explore what is the intent of the source that they have provided. What do they want to do? What do they want to do by providing you that information? Do they want to persuade you to do something? Do they want you to buy something? Is it a marketing place that the marketing source that you're referring to? If it's a website, are there ads? How do they relate to the topic of the site which you are referring to? If the author is presenting facts or opinions, so are they talking about just their opinions as they believe about something, or are they talking about facts and figures and providing you reliable information? Is the language used impartial? Are they trying to take sides of one or the other, and you can see the bias in their opinion? So that's the sort of information that you are trying to explore when you're reading a source and you're trying to make sense of the information presented by them. So that code source could be a journal article, it could be a book, it could be a website, any source of evidence that you're reading. These are the kind of questions that you should ask yourself. If you have got any more questions, please do not hesitate to contact me or follow me on Twitter. Thank you very much for listening, and do subscribe to the channel and like the video and share with others if you have found it useful. Thank you very much.